Don't.
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 Be afraid.
To speak up.
Say it.
What? You.
Want.
Civil Disobedience is an essay written by Henry David Thoreau. In the essay, Thoreau argues that individuals should not support or participate in a government that commits unjust actions, and that every individual have a duty to disobey unjust laws through non-violent civil disobedience. The individual's conscience is more important than the will of the government or the majority. Thoreau believes that individuals should be guided by their own moral compass rather than blindly following the dictates of the state, because governments can become corrupt and unjust. Nonviolent civil disobedience is a powerful tool for a change, and that he believes that individuals have a right to peacefully disobey unjust laws, and that doing so can inspire others to resist as well. He also believes that the true source of political power is the individual and not the states. Thoreau argues that individuals have the power to create change, and that the states exist only to serve them or to serve the needs of every citizen. Thoreau's essay argues for the importance of individual conscience and nonviolent resistance, and the duty of citizens to actively resist unjust government actions.
Civil disobedience is defined as the act of disobeying the law to change a government's course or enact new legislation. People have rarely opposed power in the past because they thought that their temporal rulers had broken a greater law. One example to that is the recent election in the Philippines. Some of Filipinos believe and enlightened by the fact that election fraud occurred, but they were not able to do anything but accept the result of voting as they have limited powers. Going back to the past, during the reign of the dictator Ferdinand Marcos, martial law was implemented. During his reign, many voices were shot and lives were ended in ashes just because they want to stand and fight for what is right, more specifically in the field of media. It is undeniable that many people became terrified because of these events.
Henry David Thoreau, the son of Concord, Pennsylvania, graduated from Harvard in 1837. He worked a short while as a schoolmaster, but then began writing poetry. He soon joined a religious, philosophical, and literary movement called Transcendentalism, led by Ralph Waldo Emerson. A quick view about Transcendentalism: it is a core belief that tells about inherent goodness of people and nature. It was developed in the late 1820s and 30s in the New England region of the United States. Its idea emerged while society and its institutions have corrupted the purity of its people. They become at their best when truly self-reliant and independent. In 1846, the United States declared war against Mexico. Thoreau and other northern critics of the war viewed it as a plot by Southerners to expand slavery into the Southwest. Thoreau had already stopped paying his taxes in protest against slavery. As a result, the local tax collector had ignored his tax evasion but decided to act when Thoreau publicly condemned the United States' invasion and occupation of Mexico. In July 1846, they then arrested and jailed Thoreau for his tax delinquency. In conclusion, Thoreau practiced civil disobedience in his own experience through refusing to pay taxes in protest in the Mexican War, resulting in a night in the Concord jail. He then furthermore explained his experience and built the idea of he being more free than the townsmen outside the prison, and thinking that he, in prison, refused to pay tax, but his townsmen paying taxes, living, and being manipulated by these unjust laws ruled by the government.
Now, for the third key point of the essay, civil disobedience.
It is our moral duty to resist injustice. Thoreau's stance on civil disobedience is based on the belief that the government should serve the people and not the people serving the government. So, when the government enforces injustice, it fails to fulfill its duty to the people. Thoreau's argument is rooted in the idea that individuals have the power to effect change through their actions, and that by resisting unjust law. Thoreau argues that it is not enough to blindly respect the law simply because it is the law. Instead, individuals should prioritize respecting what is morally right, even if it goes against the law. Thoreau also emphasizing the importance of individual conscience in determining what is right and wrong, rather than simply obeying laws that may be unjust or oppressive. To sum up the idea, it is our moral duty to resist unjust laws. We should not blindly follow the law without questioning its morality. It is our responsibility to resist unjust law through protests that are not violent. We should fight for the right to make a change in our society that is headed to a better future.
The power of individual conscience. It is the ability of an individual to make decisions and take actions based on their own beliefs. Majority is not always right, and we should follow our conscience, even if it means going against the norms of society. Thoreau is one example of this, who spent a night in jail for refusing to pay a poll tax. The power of individual conscience is the ability of an individual to make decisions and take actions based on their own beliefs, values, and moral principles. It is the inner voice that guides us in our decision making and helps us to determine what is right and wrong. What Thoreau wants to happen is that every individual must have the right to speak out or to fight for what they believe or for what is right and wrong, especially if they think that what they are fighting for is better for everyone. Just as mentioned in key point number 2, Thoreau spent one night in jail for refusing to pay a poll tax in protest against the Mexican-American War and the expansion of slavery. He showed here that he obeyed himself more by not paying taxes because he knew that the taxes they paid were not used in the right way. Not all majority is right, for example. Not because many people agree with the war on drugs, they have already implemented it well. I am one of those who do not agree with this policy because many innocent people die without evidence being shown. For me, killing people is not or even will not be a solution to stop the spread or increase of drug users. It is better to think of a new implemented policy that is better than the often talkang policy that just kills people. However, the power of individual conscience is not always easy to follow. It requires courage, conviction, and willingness to face opposition and even persecution.
Non-violent protests and civil disobedience related closely are of values in a way that can be exchanged. Both involve using peaceful means is to challenge unjust laws or policies and bring about social or political change. First, what is that non-violent? The word non-violent using peaceful means rather than force. Ito yung mga example ng Boy Scout and then pang iba. Especially to bring about political or social change. Ito yung ginagawa ng mga rangista to respond or to protest against injustice. Lahat tayo ay may karapatan mag-protest. Tingnan nyo kapag hindi na tama ang ginagawa nila. Last, what is the civil disobedience? Civil disobedience, on the other hand, is a specific form of non-violent protest that involves intentionally breaking a law or disobeying a government order as a means of challenging its legitimacy. Civil disobedience is often used as last resort when other channels for political change have been exhausted. The one of example sa kwento ni Thoreau is yung hindi siya nagbayad ng tax, which is responsibilidad natin yun bilang isang mamayan ang magbayad ng tax. But laruin ko lang. Kaya lang niya hindi ginagawa yun, it's because nakikita niya yung binabayad niya ng tax ay hindi napupunta sa tama. But, willing siya magbayad ng malaking fees if ito'y napupunta sa tama sa pagpapaganda ng transportasyon. In real life, may karapatan tayo mag-test because hindi naman kasalanan ang gawin ito. Lalo na kapag alam mo ang tama at mali at ang mabuti at masama. Hindi naman porket nagrally tayo disiplin, gusto na natin ang gawin. Minsan gusto lang natin ng maayos na pangyayon ng gobyerno. At gusto natin na may maganda tayong kinabukasan.
If you ask me, I am in favor of withdrawing support from an unjust government, especially when a politician does not really deserve the vote of the people and humanity is not what makes a country exist. As in Henry Thoreau's theory, where humanity is one of the, it is necessary for a leader or a leader of a country to have a peaceful and happy society. So withdrawing the vote will be good for a country, even if it is laborious to do. And at the end of the day, the country will be better. Civil disobedience is the deliberate, nonviolent rejection of a governmental authority. It warns them that unfair activities will be resisted and that, if pressured, people will commit crimes. The motto that government is best which governs least is one of Henry Thoreau's motto in his book of Civil Disobedience. And I would want to see it implemented more quickly and methodically. When all is said and done, it boils down to this, which is also what I think, that government is best which governs not at all, and when people are ready for it, it will be the type of government they have. Government is only an expedient at best. Nonetheless, most governments are frequently and occasionally inefficient. The arguments made against a standing army, which are numerous, significant, and deserving of success, could eventually be made against a standing government. Only one branch of the existing government is the standing army. Before the people can act through the government, which is merely the means by which they have chosen to carry out their desire, it is equally susceptible to misuse and perversion. As evidence, look no further than the ongoing conflict in Mexico, which was started by a relatively small number of people utilizing the existing system of government as a tool. The populace would not have approved of this action at the onset.
Let every man make known what kind of government would command his respect, and that will be one step toward obtaining it. During the last election, we have seen this phrase comes to life or be associated in real life. The Pink Movement or the campaign of the recent Vice President Leni Robredo ignited the fire among the people to follow their principle, their consciousness, the government that they want. The government that they want is just and honest. An honest government that do not run on corruption. An honest government that the politicians will really be a public servant to the people. These politicians or legislators that will have laws, passing laws that will help the life or the future for the next generation of Filipinos. Within every generation, there is a fire that is ignited within their very hearts. They want a government that will lead them to a brighter future. It is not regression that they want. It is progression that we will always want. But sadly, the majority has chosen a president or a candidate that they think that is more fit, that they think that is more respectable to their self or will respect their principles and their stand in life.
Thoreau idea of taking responsibility for own actions and being well to accept the consequences to disobey are crucial to his argument for this civil disobedience. He believed that individuals have a moral duty to act according to their consequence and stand off against injustice, even if it means disobeying the law and suffering the consequences. Thoreau idea of taking responsibility for own actions and being well to accept the consequences to disobey are crucial to his argument for this civil disobedience. He believed that individuals have a moral duty to act according to their consequence and stand off against injustice, even if it means disobeying the law and suffering the consequences. Thoreau idea of taking responsibility for own actions and being well to accept the consequences to disobey are crucial to his argument for this civil disobedience. He believed that individuals have a moral duty to act according to their consequence and stand off against injustice, even if it means disobeying the law and suffering the consequences.